everyone, thank you for watching ECN. I'm Becky Medellin, and we're just looking at a bike lane symbol there. We're at Monmac and University in Edinburg. I'm with Officer Balde Gomez, and you were looking at that bike lane symbol because we're talking about bike safety today. So we've come out here in the wind and the elements and the traffic because it's important for people to be up to date and educated about bike safety. So we've blocked off the road, we're safe, and we want to tell people about bike lanes and other rules. Why is it so important for people to know all of these rules?
Becky, thank you, and you're exactly right. We're out here today because we want to be out where the people could recognize. And I thank you for allowing us to do this here today. It is important. It is important to actually visualize and see what we're talking about, because people still come up to me all the time. Recently, that the city of Edinburgh does several bicycle rodeos, one that's coming up soon, and they're still asking, and even bikers, seasoned bikers or cyclists that have been cycling for a long time are still asking questions, and everybody seems to be confused about our bicycle lane. So we're here today, and again, it's important that when people pay attention, especially if you're cycling in our city or any other city around the valley, because the rule goes for the state of Texas. We're talking about the markers on the roadways for cycling.
Right. Okay, so let's explain, what this means. Our viewers looked at the bike lane symbol just now. When they see this on the side of the road, what does this mean?
This is telling people don't seem to understand that cyclists have a right and a duty to ride their cycle or bicycles on the roadway. They're not supposed to ride their bicycles on the sidewalk. Sidewalks are intended for walking. Young cyclists, young children are riding their bicycle that haven't learned their technique and balance and stopping and emergencies and braking. They should be riding their bicycles on a sidewalk for safety reasons, of course.
Right.
But cyclists are supposed to be on the roadway. That's the first misconception. You're supposed to ride your bicycle on the road. Why the city of Edinburgh came out with the idea, like other cities in the valley, about bicycle lanes? Because we're telling people that, as you can see all the traffic behind us, it's not safe for a cyclist necessarily to be on a roadway like this. Does he have a right to? Absolutely. Why we still sometimes will see a cyclist riding a bicycle on University Drive. On the road, he has a right to. And that's fine. Problem is, once you start getting to the outer edges of town, the speed limit starts to increase, and vehicles do start driving faster and faster, even though they're abiding by the speed limit.
Right.
So now it's a little dangerous for the cyclist and the motorist. So the city of Edinburgh came out with we intended to have these bicycle lanes, so that are intended for cyclists to ride their bicycle on the roadway like they should, on the bicycle lane. Again, why? Because this is the only lane that cars cannot drive on. So you can actually ride your bicycle on University Drive. The speed limit goes up to 55 miles an hour. Right. And cyclists can't go that fast, but you get to ride your bicycle on the roadway, yet still be safe and then not be a hazard for yourself or the motorist, because you're riding your bicycle on a bicycle lane, which is actually the shoulder. And that's one of the things we want people to know, that yes, you're supposed to ride your bike on the roadway, but if there's a shoulder or a bicycle lane, it's actually safer for them to ride it on this shoulder.
Right. Okay. Is it ever okay for a car to drive in a lane with these markings?
Well, that's a good question, because people, again, that's a second misconception. People keep asking about that. Whether or not we have a marker on it, a bicycle marker, this is still just a shoulder. And Texas state law says that yes, you can drive on a shoulder when you're turning right into a private drive or a business.
Okay.
You have a right to do that. This is a shoulder. Cyclists are saying, no, they don't. No cars on my lane. Well, that's not necessarily true. The bicycle lane says that's for the cyclists to ride their bike on.
Right.
Motorists are not supposed to be driving on shoulders, period. Whether it's marked as a bicycle lane, it's not marked as a bicycle lane, cars cannot drive on the shoulder, period. Cars can drive onto a shoulder right before you make a right-hand turn.
Okay.
We all have to. You have the intersection right behind us, and they'll show it. Right behind you, that vehicles have a right, and it by law required, that as they're turning right, you have to get on the shoulder, closest to the curve to the right, before you make a right-hand turn.
Right.
So again, yes, bicyclists are going to be on the shoulder or a bike lane, and motorists have the duty to safely drive onto a shoulder or a bicycle lane while making a right-hand turn. The concern here is, now motorists need to be aware that they have to yield the right-of-way to a cyclist.
Right.
If you're driving and you're going to get on the shoulder to make a right-hand turn, a cyclist is just like a motor vehicle. We have to give them that respect. If they're in front of you, then you get behind them, you put your blinker and you make a right-hand turn.
Right.
What we see a lot of cyclists complain about is that motorists will cut them off, cut in front of them, and then make that right-hand turn in front of them, causing them to have to come to an emergency stop or really halt to avoid an accident. And that's where motorists are wrong. We got to give the cyclists a respect, like a motor vehicle, that if they're there first, we yield to them and we get behind them, even though they're slow, and then we may be in a motor vehicle, and then we both turn right.
So I guess that's the same rules as if there were another car there. You have to merge into that lane. If you see a bicycle, you know, give them the right of way, as you said, and check to make sure that there aren't any bicycles coming so that you don't cause an accident.
Absolutely. Again, now if you're able to safely pass a cyclist, let's say the cyclist is a block away from the actual right-hand turn that you're trying to make, and you're able to pass that cyclist safely, keeping in mind our bicycle ordinances, you could actually pass him, and you could actually get on the right-hand lane or even a bike lane to turn right and yet get in front of the bicyclist. But again, only if, just like a motor vehicle, if you had a safe distance behind you, that you're able to safely pass them and still have enough space to get in the intersection safely where you're supposed to, and then make that right-hand turn.
Okay. So it sounds like a lot of this is just courtesy as well.
A lot of courtesy, and again, there's even an ordinance. It's actually a law here in Edinburgh that the city ordinance on the bicycle ordinance says that if you're passing a cyclist on the roadway, you have to be a minimum of 3 feet from them. 3 feet from them, so that you don't scare them, you don't cause them to take evasive action, maybe have an accident or a fall. Again, 3 feet. If the ordinance here in Edinburgh says that if you're a big truck or rig or trailer, then you're required to keep a distance of 6 feet from them. That's a good distance. 6 feet now means the odds are you're going to change lanes maybe, if you're able to safely do so, but stay minimum 3 feet and maximum 6 feet from the cyclist. People always ask, and again, another misconception, well, is it from the white line at 6 feet? I'm basically in the next lane in that you would be. It's where the cyclist is. The cyclist is in the center of the roadway, on his lane, on the cyclist lane or bicycle lane. It's 3 feet from him. From if he's far out on the right-hand side for some reason, still in his bicycle lane, then it's 3 feet from him. So you're actually riding just where you normally would every day. Yeah,
we're not necessarily asking drivers to move to the other lane or anything. Just make sure you have those 3 feet between you and the bicycle.
That little cushion between them.
Right, okay. So we talked about cars in the bicycle lane. What about the other way around? You mentioned bicycles out on the regular roadway. They're allowed to do that. Explain how that works.
Cyclists are allowed and are required to be riding their bicycles on the roadway. They have a right to. But the difference here is that cyclists have to obey all traffic laws just like a motor vehicle does. So can I give you a ticket for driving a vehicle and not putting a blinker? Absolutely. Can I pull over a cyclist for doing the same thing, especially if he's a hazard to somebody or a danger? Absolutely. When you're on the road, you ride a bicycle and you're driving on the roadway, understand that you're required to abide by all traffic laws. That means if the light is red and you're in there, you're going to stop like everybody else. If it's a stop sign, you have to stop. If you're going to make a right-hand turn or left-hand turn, you may not have a blinker on your bicycle, but most cyclists know the hand signals for stopping, for the cars behind you won't run into you, for turning left or for turning right. There's hand signals. The cyclists should know if they're on the roadway. And again, how does that come in play? If there's an accident, first of all, you're going to lose. Any accident with a bicycle and a vehicle is involved, the car is going to win, just by weight and the size of a vehicle. Second thing is, you may be the cause of the accident, so at the end of it, you're still going to get a citation, or you're going to be blamed for causing the accident.
Okay. Can you go over, I hope most of our cyclists know already, but can you go over the hand signals for those who maybe aren't familiar with them?
Absolutely. When you're riding your bicycle, you're supposed to, if you're going to make a left-hand turn, you stick your left hand out as far as you can in a straight line. And again, the reason we leave our right hand on our handlebars, because on the right-hand side of our handlebar is a rear brake, which is a brake that we use most for stopping faster. We always use a right or rear brake on a bicycle. So you hold on to your bicycle handlebar, left-hand lane, left-hand turn, you put your hand out all the way straight. Right-hand turn, you put your hand straight up. This is a right-hand turn. And if you're coming to a stop or slow, you need to let the people behind you know, especially if you're on the road where there's cars behind you, you put your hand signal down. This is important for motorists that may not know anything about bicycle. They need to know that if there's somebody on there, they're going to be required to put hand signals when they're coming to a stop, turning left or turning right. So it's important for safety for everybody.
Right. All right. And also, can we just go over, some common safety tips that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, but it never hurts to remind people about wearing helmets, making sure your bike is in good shape for riding it out on the road, that kind of thing.
Yes, Texas law does not require a cyclist to wear a helmet. Unfortunately, it doesn't. But it surely does recommend. We would surely most definitely always recommend that you wear a bicycle helmet. The way I've always told people for years and years and years, it doesn't make any sense to me that you buy your son or your daughter a $100 bicycle.
Right.
If you're an adult, you buy yourself a $200 bicycle, $300. Some of these things go up to $1,000. If you buy yourself an expensive bicycle or a bicycle, but you won't spend $10 on a helmet. And that helmet is going to actually save your life, because if you look at statistics and you go to the Texas Department of Public Safety on bicycle helmet accidents or bicycle safety tips, it shows that majority of the accidents that cause head injuries were people that did not have a helmet, and most of the accidents were always just a driveway away.
Right.
In other words, these accidents are happening not on the highway so much, but in your neighborhood, coming out of your driveway, a small simple slip on your own driveway. So we have to wear helmets, again, to promote safety, promote bicycle safety, and also to protect ourselves.
Okay. It's also a good idea, I guess, to make sure that your bicycle is ready for the road, make sure that there's enough air in the tires, that it's tuned up.
The city of Edinburg is blessed that we do bicycle rotors once in a while.
Right.
And we have parents bring their children their bicycles, and it's always great. We're happy to help, always. But it's kind of sad to see at the same time that so many parents are not really paying attention to the kids' bicycles that are almost flat. The brakes are not adjusted, they're not working. The worst thing that I see is the kids' seats are too high, and the young boy or girl can't even reach the ground. So again, all those are things that are just an accident waiting to happen. So again, we have to teach our children, we as parents have the responsibility to make sure that the bikes are safe, they fit properly, they work properly. If you're a person who rides a bicycle, you gotta be smart, fix your bike, get it aired up, get the brakes working, learn how to make emergency stops, learn how to use hand signals, learn what is the safest ride. Just because you have a right to be on the roadway, it doesn't mean that I'm saying please get on the expressway 281 and ride your bike. It may not be the safest place.
Okay, and also for our families, it's always a good idea to supervise the kids until you've made sure that they know all of those rules and safety tips, and maybe once they're teenagers, they're responsible enough to go out on their own. But before that, it's good to supervise.
And it is good to supervise, and then a reminder why we want young children to ride their bicycles on the sidewalk, so that they learn all these things. Once they're ready, a little older, then the parent will make a determination as to riding on the roadway in the neighborhood. So that if your son or daughter could ride a bike in the neighborhood, that necessarily mean they could not ride on 107, because there's vehicles out here that drive faster. They may have flat tire blowouts. They may have vehicles that overheat and have to pull over to the side quickly. So again, there's a lot more hazards, and you need to be physically and mentally prepared to be able to ride your bike and enjoy yourself safely once you get to highways like this.
Okay, so if anyone at home has questions about anything we've talked about, or, you mentioned the bicycle rodeos, maybe someone wants to know, when are you having one, or can we request one? Can they give you a call?
Yes, you could always call the police department, and we'll figure out when the next bicycle rodeo is, or we know one is happening in our city or near our city. We'll be happy to give them the information. Edinburg Police 383-7411, Officer Gomez, or the Community Officers Division will be happy to help.
Okay, anything you'd like to add? Anything we missed?
No, just summer's coming, and this is the perfect time. I think we're doing this to remind all the young cyclists and parents that it's time to get on the road a little bit and enjoy the weather, enjoy our cycling and our bicycle lanes and our park lanes.
Right, and do so safely and keep an eye out for those cyclists.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching ECN. Have a great day.